power doesn't come from the one who governs. Power should come from the ones who are governed. Film has not become pan-India. The audience have become pan-India. I'm not known for my handsomeness. We need to look at the world with what the youngsters see. There's so much of unlearning happening within me too.
Hello, sir.
Hey, hi.
Hi, sir. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Life couldn't have been better.
Great. So, welcome to the Hindu.
My pleasure always.
I was preparing for this interview, saw a couple of your previous interviews, and something that struck me was the weather and your opinion about the Bangalore weather of the old. So I'll start off with a question on that. So you have moved away from Bangalore, right? You moved closer to Mysore, and you keep saying that you miss the old Bangalore that was very breezy and cold and everything. But don't you think the summer has come, sooner than what we expected? And what is your headspace like? Are you feeling the heat?
I'm an actor, I'm a traveler, and yes, once upon a time I felt some place was my home. Now home is within, so I travel all seasons.
Right.
And I'll have to adapt, I have to evolve, and it's always a question that, last year was cooler, this year is more hotter. Climate changes for real.
Right.
We need to accept it, we need to realize it. I'm home everywhere now.
Superb. And of course, you dabble yourself in a lot of fields. But this could be a very generic question, but I'll still ask, what is keeping Prakash Raj busy these days?
Life is keeping me very busy. There's not one single thing. Your zest, your inquisitiveness, your search is what keeps you busy. And every time and time people will say he's an actor, he's busy with cinema. Sometimes I'm with farming, he's busy with farming or with architecture. Now the theatre. Incubator I have started. So I keep myself busy, I keep living. And life generally is keeping me very busy.
Great. And thank you so much for welcoming us to this theatre facility that you
Yes.
have created, Nirdiganta. And I'm really curious to see what's in store.
Please
shall we
come,
just
let's
explore?
take a walk and let's explore.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come.
Sir, you're not calling this a theatre school, and there is an attempt to kind of connect your students to nature. So can you tell me what is the ecosystem you're creating in Nirdiganta?
Nirdiganta is an incubator. Kavu gudu antivi. Thoughts to happen. This is a place for conversations.
Right.
This is not a school, but you learn here. I realize that there is no incubator. We have performing spaces, we have rehearsal halls. But where is a space for youngsters or creative people to come, think, have a conversation, create something? And a place, most importantly, where they need not be afraid to fail.
Right.
Human beings forget that we are part of nature.
Right.
So there is so much of drama, there's so much of language, there's so much of conversation in nature itself. With the birds, bees, worms, the trees, flowers. So that is where you have to be. You're one among them in the whole space of evolution. So the conversation with the earth is very important. Listening to the climate change, what is happening around you is important.
Right.
I thought an incubator should be like that, wherein you connect. So here who come, they do the gardening, they clean their own place, they cook their food, they know what's cooking. At the same time, they start thinking, they start having conversations. There is no time space for them. There's a river, the workouts, the exercises they need to do, the meditation they need to do. I think a space of an incubator should have all these in tandem.
Right. Sir, you are experienced in cinema and theatre as well. I'm just curious to know, has theatre found out a successful business model, where all stakeholders are maybe financially satisfied after each production?
Art should be appreciated. Right. Art should be understood. Art is an expression. Business has come in. When art has focused only on business, then it is art, not art anymore.
Right.
It has not been art anymore, isn't it? So, I don't know, it is a very interesting thing. But it has to find a sustainable model, yes. Theatre has not found its such sustainable model because they are dreamers, they want to do a play, they have to get in some money.
Yeah.
Then people are not ready to give big ticket money. So how do they survive? We don't know. So we are not looking at that. Now actually it is a process to find a sustainable model too. So for that, first you empower different thought processes, artists, possibilities of theatre. And theatre is nothing when there are no audience.
Correct.
So if Nirdiganta can churn out certain ideas and the process and the evolution, and then go to the people and the people start liking what is happening in Nirdiganta, then a bond starts, then probably a sustainable model will come. And I have realized that first 2 years or 3 years of this incubator I need to sustain. And luckily I am rich enough to, and I have certain friends who are finding the beauty of this and they are coming in to put to this effort together. And I was very sure that like a pollination in nature, that there will be contributions, people will find it. For that, I needed to take 10 steps ahead and say, if I had just talked about it and had not done anything like this, it would have been just an idea. But now they are seeing this idea is being realized, materialized, and the sort of work we have done in the last 6-7 months or 8 months now, they're saying, can this much be done by an incubator? Now there are people who are coming in, and I foresee that it will find its sustainable model.
So lastly, Bangalore is forever growing, right? So the major challenge for theatre groups, at least from what I have found out, is the space to perform. Many of them are saying that either they are costly or they're not well designed. As somebody who's grew up doing theatre, is there a solution for it?
There is a solution. There is a solution with locality theatres. Right. If the community, without audience, theatre is not possible. If the community decides that they need a space, it is just not theatre, it is not just coming and seeing and plays. No? If the community of a locality decide that this is a place where our children can go for summer camps, the youngsters can experiment so many things, the painters can paint, we can call in certain guests and have conversations. Until and unless you find that community feeling, that is the only way out. And it has to be, it cannot be suddenly a popular theatre somewhere in Ravindra Kalakshetra or Rangashankara. It should be locality based, it should be a community's need. And if theatre becomes a part of education too, schools, colleges also have small auditoriums. That is how theatre can flourish. Otherwise it is not possible. Until and unless the community owns it, it's going to be difficult.
And I'm just reminded in my brief interaction with Girish Karnad, he said that he has done some commercial films that he didn't believe that it would do well, only to get money and pull it into theatre. For you, has this theatre been the main or ultimate objective always?
No. See, the point is, when I was in theatre, and I always traveled and I saw different horizons in my life. It could be television, from there to Karnataka cinema, and then to South cinema, then into a pan-Indian cinema, and into a lot of other things like farming and architecture and things like that. And then when I decided, do I need to come back to theatre? Because I am empowered, chiseled of whatever I am because of what theatre put me in, strengthened me. But when I wanted to come back, how do I come back? Do I come back as an actor? Then I felt like, why am I so desperate to prove myself an actor again? What difference would it make to theatre if I come back to theatre? It could be an older man acting with his experience. Then I said, what is my relevance? Then I realized what I got the exposure. Should I not create an incubator where the next generation gets that exposure and goes ahead? So me coming back to theatre is that sort of relevance, and that I stumbled upon much later. So I wouldn't say that I had this dream to always come back to theatre. No, it is a part of my growth, and I'm a different person when I come back to theatre. When I've come back to theatre, when I was in theatre, I was an aspiring actor. I wanted to be seen, but now I want theatre to be seen. I want something else to happen. I decided that my relevance is empowering, not. And so that's why I said, no, next 2 years I'm not going to act, because there is that urge to be on stage and perform. But I said, no, Prakash, you have to kill that urge, because that is not going to serve the purpose of what you have started. And when I see now 50, 60 youngsters doing so many things, and there's so much of unlearning happening within me too.
Superb. So one important thing in your career that's coming up is photo, which you are presenting.
Yes.
So we would love to talk about that Kannada film, your association, your thoughts on it. So let's get into that segment.
Come, let's have a chai pe charcha and then go there.
Right. So I have seen photo. It is a very sensitive and hard-hitting film. Of course, it talks about the plight of migrants during the COVID-19 pandemic. What happened when we're trying to shift from the city to their hometowns when the situation was such grim. But I also feel it is at heart a very emotional bond between a father and a son. So my question is, in this today where we talk about taking selfies in a span of seconds, this boy has a dream of clicking a photo in front of Vidhan Sauda, right? It starts off with that, the movie. Can you tell me which is your first memory of a photograph? Which is your favorite memory?
ಫೋಟೋಗ್ರಾಫ್ ಮನೆ ಊರ್ ಕಡೆ ನಮಗೆ ಫೋಟೋ ತೆಗಿಯೋದು ಕೂಡ ತುಂಬಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಪರೂಪಕ್ಕೆ ಫೋಟೋ ತೆಗೆದು ನನ್ಗೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಊರ ಜಾತ್ರೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಜಾತ್ರೆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾಮನ್ ಊರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರು ಸಹ ಮನೆಯವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕರಿಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೇದು ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ತೆಗಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೇದು ಏನೋ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಇದ್ದಾಗ. ಸೊ ಹಂಗೆ ನಾವು ಹೋಗಿ ಕರೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಇದ್ವಿ, ಮತ್ತೊಬ್ರು ಪಕ್ಕದ ಮನೆ ಅಣ್ಣ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಒಂದು ನೆನಪಿರೋ ಫೋಟೋ ಅದು.
And sir, what about you? Which photograph do you remember from your early days?
Me, my brother and my sister with a transistor in his lap.
Correct.
And ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ನಡೆಯೋದು, ಅದು ಎಕ್ಸಿಬಿಷನ್.
Correct.
ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಸಿಬಿಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋದರೆ ಒಂದು ತಾಜ್ ಮಹಲ್ದು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಇರೋದು.
Okay.
ಅದ್ರ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ರೆಟಾ ಸ್ಕೂಟ್ರ್ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಿರೋರು ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋ ಒಳಗೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದರೆ ನಾವು ತಾಜ್ ಮಹಲ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ರೆಟಾ ಸ್ಕೂಟ್ರ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಸೈಕಲ್ಗೂ ಗತಿ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಅದೊಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕದೊಂದು ಮೆಮರಿ, ಒಂದು ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ರೆಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡದ್ದು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಫೋಟೋ ಇದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ರೆಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿರೋದು. ಅವಳು ಚೂಡಿದಾರ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೆಂಗಿರೋದು ತಾಜ್ಮಹಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸೋ ನೈಸ್. ಬಟ್ ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಆಸೆಗಳು ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ತಾಜ್ಮಹಲ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಒಂದು ಫೋಟೋ ತೊಗೋಬೇಕು, ನಮಗೊಂದು ಸ್ಕೂಟ್ರ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಅವ್ರ ಕನಸುಗಳನ್ನ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು ನೋಡಿ ಯಾರು ಸ್ಟುಡಿಯೋದವರು. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಫೋಟೋ, ಐ ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ಯಾ,
ಗ್ರೇಟ್. ಉತ್ಸವ್, ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಮೊದಲನೇ ಸರಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಟ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸ್ ಆಗಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ, ಲೈಕ್ ವಿ ವರ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಹಾರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಪೆನ್ನಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಲೈಕ್ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ವೈಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರೋ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಏನೇನಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ?
ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಬಜೆಟ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ತುಂಬ ಟೈಟ್ ಇದ್ದು. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸತ್ಯ, ಅದು ದುಡ್ಡು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು. ನಮಗೆ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಬರೆದು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಹಿಂಗಾಗಿದೆ, ಮತ್ತು ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನ ಚೀಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ಏನೋ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಡೌಟ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ರೋಡ್ಗಳದ್ದು ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಟೈಮ್ನ ನಾವು ರೋಡ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಗಾಡಿ ಇರಬಾರ್ದು, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಚೀಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ರೋಡ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಅದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ನಮಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ನಾವು ಅದೇ ಇಡೀ ಟೀಮ್ ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇರಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ಯಾವ ಥರ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೇಮ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ನೇನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ರೋಡ್ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಮತ್ತು ಗಾಡಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರು ಲಾರಿಯವ್ರು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ಯಾರಿಕೇಡ್ಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗುದ್ಬಿಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಬ್ಯಾರಿಕೇಡ್ ಬಿದ್ದು ಹುಡುಗರ ಕಾಲುಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗಾಯ ಆಗಿದ್ದು, ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ತುಂಬ ಇದೆ.
Sir, when we first spoke about photo, you said that once the film was over, you were in tears for at least 10-15 minutes. I'm curious to know, which was that movie that made you feel like that before this?
A lot of films. I'm a little emotional fellow, and some honest films, some wounds of the society when you hits back at you. So it just disturbs you a lot. And what is about photo is like Color Purple of Spielberg just made me cry and cry and cry. But this was a different reason, Chaplin says, life is a comedy in a long shot. It's a tragedy in a close-up. So photo is that sort of a film, which we being a privileged class, yes, we saw the pandemic and we lived. Okay, and what we were informed was just visuals of a long shots of whatever it was. But of course, I did feel bad during pandemic, because when I had come out of my farm during the pandemic, when I saw those hundreds of people walking barefoot on the highway, I just cried and I said, I don't know what to do. And then all I could do was cook food for 500 people and just distribute to people. And around 40 of them decided to stay with me. So I took them to the farm and made 3 kitchens and made them stay for 2-3 months. The rest of them, they were not ready to stand. They were ready to leave. I was very hurt with that, painful. I felt very helpless. So when I saw photo, the whole pain came back to me. And 15, 20 minutes I couldn't talk, I was in no mood to discuss the technicality of whatever it was. The very fact that it was a mirror just held in front of mine, a guilt, a conscience, which after pandemic, it's like, we just swept everything below our carpet and we are just behaving. Everything is fine. But there are certain wounds in the civilization or in the evolution that we should never forget, because it will come to haunt us if we don't do something about it. And I think photo is one film, and that too being documented by a 21, 20-year-old kid, whom we are talking about such major guys in the cinema industry. We find so many stories, but fellow who wanted to find his identity, documenting of a wound of his times was something which touched me. And I said, well, I will not now just sit and brood that I could not make a film like this.
Right.
But at least stand by such film and see to it that the people should see this film. Yeah.
Right, super. Utsav, ನೀವು ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಲೈಕ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಹವ್ ಶೋನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಅದು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ನಾವು ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಅನುಭವಿಸ್ಲೂಬಾರ್ದು ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ತಿರ್ಗಾ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಆ ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಆರ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕ್ವೆಶನಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಯಾಕೆ ಈ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ವಿ ಅಂತ. ಈಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ರೆಲೆವೆಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ಫೋಟೋ ಅಂತ?
ನನಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಅಂಶ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು.
And I also felt, yeah.
ಅದೇ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು. ಮತ್ತು ಸರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಗಾಯಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ಮರಿಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಹೌದು, ಅದು ಇಂಥ ಗಾಯಗಳನ್ನಂತರೂ ಮರಿಲೇಬಾರ್ದು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
And it is a way you look at it. The minute if you start looking at this film, saying that it is a government which is responsible, a system which is responsible, that is the next layer, I think, because this happened across the world.
Correct, yeah.
And everybody had come down and anybody would have decided for a lockdown. But the point is, what have we done? What did we see? Because I keep telling about an example wherein we were in the cities, we went to a restaurant, a tandoori or a Chinese restaurant or any restaurant, and you eat and come. And there was pandemic. And all of us had homes to go sit. And the owners had a home to go sit. But suddenly people came out like rats who were behind the kitchen. Construction workers who had to go to UP, Rajasthan, Bihar or Uttar Karnataka, or people who wanted to go to Jabalpur. They were on the streets and all the houses were locked and they had no place to go and they walked. This is not just a government's failure. It is also the failure of we being not sensitized to what is happening around us. Nobody's pain is our pain anymore. And after that, we're just very comfortable. And it also, I think, very strongly questions the very idea that that boy wants to take a photograph in front of a Vidhana Saudha, want to go and take a photo with the D-boss. One of my friends who saw the film said, I can't look at Vidhana Saudha anymore. The way. Yeah. Because the point of center of power has done nothing. If they don't reimagine the future, foresee a future, and is there a system where are we all sensitized to each and one another? No. And even now, we think it is over. And none of us are ready to question, For example, when a big leader of any political party or any leader comes down to give a big speech, you will see 2 lakh people, 3 lakh people, and all are ferried in buses and lorries with biryani packets and food, and during elections they are ferried to put vote. But when a pandemic came, I don't see one MLA or an MP even spending 1 rupee for a bus to send them home. And we have forgotten about it and we are into the next elections already.
Yeah.
See, this sort of very, very privileged position and comfortable position, comfortably forget, this will haunt you, because this is a very disturbing factor in evolution for humankind. And I think that's a very strong message in this film. So it's the way you see it. It is not politicizing about it, but then we are all in politics, we should understand, no? Yeah. Because power doesn't come from the one who governs. Power should come from the ones who are governed. Yeah. And that has not happened. And we have not been sensitive to the whole system, to every human being on this earth.
That's a lovely way to summarize photo. This collaboration, like you presenting photo, like came as a surprise to a lot of people. So I just want you to take you back to like a couple of decades ago, say that the times when, like, say, Kadu or Vamshaviksha were made, they said that it was a very like a parallel movement in Kannada cinema that was brewing. Like, how do you say that, away from mainstream ideas, but also making very progressive and modern films, right? For you, somebody who grew up, pursuing theater, cinema, what is the kind of impact these movies had on you? And maybe while watching photo, can somebody feel the same kind of impact?
Watching those films actually disturbed us, and those films chiseled our perception of life, not just as an entertainment or not just a dancing around, but it was a way of looking at another dimension of looking at things which we would have not have seen. So there was a great effect by people like Girish Kasarvalli or Satyajit Ray and all those people I was exposed to. And later I see a decade or so where such experiments didn't happen because naturally there was bombardment of a bigger films. But now I am very, very happy with the new generation of actors, directors, who we have all crossed that path of 4 decades of cinema. But when you see a filmmaker like Utsav, when you see a film like Gantu Mute, when you see a film like Daredevil Mustafa, when you see a film like Tithi, or directors like Pavan, like Hemant, coming down and trying to bring in a different genre of films and parallel cinema, they are not dry as it was much before.
Yeah.
And here, and there's more films coming down, and the way the people and the younger generation are lapping up is one positive note for me, and how people have become pan-India is something very important for me. People keep saying, no, film has become pan-India. Film has not become pan-India. The audience have become pan-India because after the advent of the OTT, plus strengthened by a pandemic for a few days, people had to see films and they could choose, and now content has become more important.
Right.
A Malayalam actor is a star here too. And a film here also goes. I'm not talking about the big event films like Bahubali and things like that, which is made with a bigger element to reach all audience. I'm talking about such content films which stays with its language, with its timber, but still it is picked because of the story, and people are very happy to see it in the language, but with subtitling. And this definitely will influence, and as those films influenced me as an upcoming actor, these films are also influencing me to stand by such films because I know the need of such films. The need to support such young talents. And because today we need to look at the world with what the youngsters see.
Correct.
What sort of a world do they want? What sort of life, how are they seeing things? What are their perceptions? Because it is going to be their future. They are trying to reimagine the future. We can't bring in the examples of the old films anymore.
Yeah.
It has done its job. Now it is the next level. So I'm quite happy with this part of it. And I find meaning by standing with such films. Because I know the importance of such films.
Super. Utsav, ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಯು ಲವ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್ ಸಂಬಡಿ ಲೈಕ್ ನಾಗರಾಜ್ ಮಂಜುಳೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಫ್ಯಾಂಡ್ರಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಸೈರಾಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರು ಯಾವ ಥರ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಮೇಕರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರೋ ಒಂದು ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ನ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮೂಲಕ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಒಂದು ಸಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಸಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ, ಲೈಕ್ ಹಿ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಅ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಅಂತ. ಡು ಯು ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಗ್ರೋ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಅ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಮೇಕರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್? ಲೈಕ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಲೈಫ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ನ?
ನನಗೂ ಅದೇ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಅಂದರೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ದಿರೋ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ವಾತಾವರಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೋ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ನನಗೂ ತುಂಬ ಆಸೆ ಇರೋದು. ಹೌದು, ಅದು ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಸಮ್ ಇರಬೇಕಂತ ನನಗೂ ಇದೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಪಾಲಿಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಇದೆ, ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ನನ್ನ ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನಾನು ಮಾಡೋ ಸಿನಿಮಾಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ.
Lovely. Nice. Sir, I don't have an answer to this question, but I'm just asking you, it's very evident that OTTs are like star-struck, right? We don't see, how do you say, an indie project or an independent film that's been picked up by bigger platforms. So how do you kind of...
That's a trap again, when... See, if you see the growth of cinema is a new language. And then comes the production system, production houses, then the theaters and the exhibitors. Now you're forced to go there only and see.
Correct.
And it also evolved in such a way that there is an interval, bang, it has to happen in 2 hours.
Yeah.
All those things were deciding the thought process, writing process by itself. And then once the OTT came, then there was a freedom for independent films. We were able to see along. And now again the bigger people have gone in. And now the language is known, our budget for the year is over.
Correct.
And the people who are deciding. Again, we are facing it. This is a constant process of fighting and pouring. But I foresee, because you can't stop this river called cinema, there may be maybe victims on the way because of the mafias coming in. But I think it hit out theatres and came into television. From television, it has come to OTT. Now it will go to YouTube's, the individual channels. And I think now we can start approaching it. Which is the group which is making sort of a film? Which platform are they playing? We are ready to go see.
Right.
This is a constant fight between business and the cinema, or art, which keeps happening. There are fake artists. Somebody is very happy with just a fake painting. Like the fake news of this country. Everybody wants a comfort zone. Nobody wants to have it. But then the truth, the real art is faced in the process of evolution. And it will continue to face, and its most beautiful strength is it will evolve itself to another element. Yeah.
Super. So I wish this collaboration is a success, and really looking forward to see how people react to.
People should react. It is not just the job of me, job of him. I think it is also the job of the audience. Because if there is no audience, there is no theatre, there is no cinema, there is no art form. You just can't say, I just do it for myself. But I think the people should also realize that there is an ecosystem, there is a social fencing which they have to give to such youngsters, to such films. And put your foot down so that we see such films also. Because unless they promote it, it doesn't happen. So I think instead of just sitting at home and please give us what we want, I think they also should come out of their comfort zone and face certain things and see. Because this is something which is unlearning and learning process. And the onus is on them too. And it is together as a community, human community, can we grow, evolve and enrich ourselves with such talents, with seeing, because beauty is not just in the beauty, it is in the beholder too. Yes. So if such films are not running, it shows the lack of beauty in the beholder.
Great. So all the best for photo, and looking forward for more such collaborations.
Yes, we will have more collaborations like this.
Great.
Ready? Action, Chalam.
So this is a segment to know the Prakash Raj, the actor, and how he has evolved. In an interview, I read a very interesting thing that as a college student, you loved forming gangs and doing strikes. Do you still channelize this very fearless spirit as a socially conscious actor?
That was what I was fed by Tejasvi or by Lankesh, or the exposure I got into poetry and theatre. It is not protesting. Pratirodha. It is discussion.
Right.
It is questions. So when catechism was made from a Christian college which was compulsory, we said, no, how can that be made? You can't have a catechism class everywhere. So we ordered a strike. The only way to say is we are not getting into classes because we were students and you can't put a religion on us. And if some facilities were not there, we would stand up and question that. It is very important to question. Questioning is not arrogance. It is seeking one's freedom. It's a liberation. It is finding one's voice. And you can always have dialogues and discussions. But when there is power which stops you, then it's looked at as protest. It's very easy to name us activists, protesters, Khalistanis or anti-Hindu, all those things which they're damn. But we are not into that. We're just asking the simple basic human rights. And without questioning, where do you find answers?
Right.
It's a process of seeking, which is very important today.
Yeah, lovely. Sir, in this time that we are living in, do you feel disappointed that people don't separate you as an artist from the thinker or the philosopher that you are? Like, let me give you an example. People who admired your work before may not like your works now because of what your stance is or what you say. Do you feel disappointed?
I don't get disappointed because you'll have to, once you have gone into a mode like this. See, I would like to be known for what I am than by just pleasing and playing to the galleries. That is not the way, that is not you. And that has to be documented somewhere. And Anybody asking, they can have differences with me. I have no issues of that. And they should know for what I stood for too. No? Because it is not just a talent. It's a thought process. I've evolved through that. And they do that. Yeah, some people who are against. Now somebody, now all these years, after national awards or whatever, the body of work, suddenly now they say, you're not an actor at all. You're a bad actor. It's okay. Now you know from where it is coming from. From where it is coming from. And they will, arm twist the fact of your personal life into it and anything into it. That's the only way when they don't have answers, when they cannot argue or have a debate with you, they do that and they try to give a picture of you which is not true so that the others also believe them. It's fine with them because I've chosen this path to live my life my way, as Frank Sinatra says. It's worth living like that.
Right. Just to carry on from your answer, like when people shame an actor or when they threaten to boycott a film, is it related to the polarizing political opinions?
It is.
Yeah. And how does it damage the art?
Has it worked?
Yeah.
If banning is true, then a lot of films should not run, but aren't they running?
Right.
And a film made on the man, our supreme leader, could not even fetch as much as money. It is not that. Cinema is different, people are different. But that threat, because they know it's an easy target, because you're vulnerable, because you've invested money, and they question your career, and they want to instill that fear. The point is, when you argue or when you have a discussion with them, you should not instill fear.
Right.
You have to sit out and talk. But when somebody is instilling fear, the people who are instilling fear are the ones who are cowards. The one who takes the weapon is a coward. And that coward is seen around, and few of us don't heed to it. And I'm still successful. Nobody has taken away films from me. I'm still alive. I'm still doing that. So I'm an example where they couldn't stop you. But yes, they do it. It's very sad. Okay.
Right. Super. Sir, now that we have done with the serious part of acting and cinema, just want to ask, how do you see social media? Like, you are very active on Twitter, and you said a very funny thing that even if you say that, hello, good morning, people will say that we don't need a good morning message from you or something like that. They're always opposing things.
Social media is here to stay, okay, stay, because you can't remove a technology like that. It is a place to express your views and things like that. So let it be. But people also, when I say even a hello, I look at it like in my social media, I have around 2.8 million followers, whatever it is. I don't do ads. It's not a paid boost of whatever it is. It's quite genuine. And when people come and comment, I'm so happy that they're following me in spite of not liking me.
Right.
So that gives me this thing, that I am moving, I am disturbing them. And when I look at that, if there is 1 million likes and there are 50,000 retweets and there are 10,000 comments, in that these comments are not even 1,000.
Right.
So I know there are people, but the love I see, the acceptance I see heals that little pain of me. And people, when they yell at me or they call me whatever names, I'm just trying to tell them that we are fellow human beings. I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I don't usually block people, very rarely, because let him say it. That means he's hearing what I'm saying, and that's what I want to do it. And I have seen people constantly doing that, then realizing and coming back and say also, sorry sir, we misunderstood you, now we realize. And a few of them, when they do it, then my purpose of being there in the thick air makes me quite happy. And I'm not the one, I don't have that spirit to be bogged down. I'm a quite spirited guy, and it's fine with me. The very fact that they're following me and they're watching me makes me talk more. Yeah.
Super. So politics aside, there was a time, I think there's still a time where a commercial movie without Prakash Raj is a surprise. And mostly you're seen in the form of an antagonist, right? But have you felt like any time there's a need to stop this and do something like an OK Kanmani or a Tiruchitrambalam where...
What happens is, anything intense, people immediately relate. So I have been known as an antagonist, but over the period of time, in this process, I have done films like Iruvar, like Kanjivaram, like Abhiyum Nanu, Akashamanta, Bommarillu, or OK Kanmani. I keep doing it. I balance both.
Yeah.
But some people still love me for the antagonist roles. It is fine. But they have branded me like that. But I've proved enough as an actor that I can do other sort of films also. I've done aged roles, younger roles, humor like film like Moli, and people have accepted it. So I think people have given me as an actor. Very rarely some actors get that, a license that, we are ready to see you with whatever you do.
Right.
And we are fine with it, and we see you as a film. And yes, sometimes I just laugh at it when they call villain actor. It's okay. It's their way of comfort zone of branding something. But they also know I'm not just a villain actor. Yeah, it's fine. And the social media says he's villain in real life and in real life also. And some say he's villain in real life, but he's the hero in real life.
Yeah.
See, those sort of, you just let it go. You don't get disturbed about it. Opinions are there, judgments are there. And that's how you chisel your life.
Correct. And definitely you're not you can't be boxed into one category. Like you mentioned Abhiyum Nanam, same thing you did in Kannada, Nanu Nana Kanasu. And if you look at something like a Singam, where you did it in Tamil and 5 other languages, of course being a polyglot is an advantage because you can speak all languages. But how do you bring the sensibility of that place? Like how do you pull up?
Every language has its own rhythm, has its own metaphors,
Right.
has its own beauty. See, language is just a sound. What is important is what is it pregnant with? So when somebody says in a line saying that when your sins will ripen and fall down one day, he must be coming from a riverside. He has seen trees. A fellow in a desert will not use that metaphors. So I read the literature, meet the people of that, and I bring in those sensibilities and nuances. Because though I have my own language, I need to speak the language of the people who watch the film. Only then they own it up and they call it Namale, Namono, Engelindale, Hamaradme, Jaikanchikre. There's a joy in it. And that sort of surrendering and commitment and looking at work also gives me windows to see different cultures, different languages. I must have worked around more than thousands of character actors of different languages, around 200 directors of different languages. I'm so enriched, so many rivers, so many food, so many people, and I relish it. And I know there is little hard work to learn a language, and I have seen the fruits of being disciplined in a way of trying to know, and just not that. I'm not known for my handsomeness or beauty. I'm more known for my way I depict the roles, and I'm happy about that. Yeah.
So you mentioned Mori, right? That was a humorous.
It was a very interesting film. I didn't actually wanted to act in that film. I wanted to produce that film.
Okay.
I liked the idea. I wanted 2 young actors to do, and one of the actors said, "I'll not do a 2-hero script."
Okay.
Then a writer-director come and said, "You do the role." I said, "I'm a little older than the younger fellow." He said, "No, we will write it to that tune." And one thing my director and my writer told me was, "Sir, this side of your humor nobody knows. And they've seen very intense films of yours, and it is your humor. And let us bring that phase out of it." And I did it, and people loved it, and I enjoyed it.
And that was my question. Do we see filmmakers tapping into your humorous side in future?
People keep doing. I'm the most people who know me know I'm the most humorous, most naughty guy, because I live my life with a lot of zest and celebration. But certain roles, you need to play the role. And there are 2 things. People either want to decide by what they see, or most of them reject to see what I am, because that may make them uncomfortable. But that is a fight we all have to do. Yeah.
Superb. So wishing you all the best for all your projects, and thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.